All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash, giving double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom to all the brothers out here laboring in this truth with sincerity. Shalom to the few sisters that watch. It's coming back with another lesson. Saw this article, came out a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, December 6th. And it's by way of Vice. It says magician had an RFID chip implanted in his hand, then forgot the password. Said it probably was breaking the rules of magic anyway. And we know magic is wicked, you know, and we'll get that. But it says Missouri magician and molecular biologist Z10 Wang thought he'd spice up his act by incorporating a little bit of a cyberpunk dystopian vibe. So he implanted an RFID chip in his hand that he could use to trigger magic tricks, which sounds like cheating. I'm not on the latest. Okay. It says he then forgot the password. Wayne goes by the stage name Z the Mentalist. Recently posted an X-ray on Facebook showing the chip lodged between his thumb and index finger, along with the admission that he has absolutely no idea of how to access it anymore. I'm living in my own cyberpunk dystopia life right now, he wrote. Says originally the chip was supposed to create slick futuristic illusions. Audience members could tap their phones and his hand and trigger tricks, in theory at least. So, matter of fact, man, you know, this is the guy right here. This is him.
I sense a lot of minds out here tonight, and there's a lot of emotions that I sense.
A guy which seems to be either Moabite or Ammonite, one of the two. But let's get it, you know, Book of Revelation, chapter 13. It's basically this what he has, man. You know, people still out here playing like, you know, they don't believe what's going on. But this is already taking place, man. You know, it's already taking place. This is Book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, which he did it voluntarily, you know, for his act, his magic tricks. It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And this is speaking of the RFID microchip, you know, whether you unbelievers out there believe it or not, or you just leading the people astray, leading the flock astray, you know. This is what's coming, man. Mark of the beast. And if you take it, ultimately you're going to be destroyed. Like Z the Mentalist, you know, which he's going off anyway for you know, being a magician. It says spiritism forbidden. So it says, we'll get back into the article, but this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18 and verse 10. It says, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter of familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. And, you know, this is what this guy is doing by being a magician, you know. It says, for all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord Yahweh. And because of these abominations, the Lord Yahweh thy power doth drive them out from afore thee. You know, so eventually he gonna be destroyed anyway. You know, he definitely gonna be destroyed for taking that chip. So let's see, where did I stop at? But we see it, man. These things are being implemented. He did it voluntarily for his show, but ultimately Esau Edom is gonna force this upon the world. This is what the hour of temptation is about. So let's see. Where did I stop at? Salakia. Right here. It says, in practice, Wayne discovered that repeatedly asking strangers to press their phone against his palm doesn't give off the vibe of ancient mysticism that he probably hoped for, and seemed to remind audience more of store checkout lanes. See that? That's what's to come, man. Ultimately, you're going to be using your hand to check out. That's not exactly what they're talking about, but that's what's coming. It says he also found a lot of phones had that feature disabled. The magic of the magic is dampened a bit when an audience member has to fumble through their phone settings. It says eventually Wayne repurposed the implant to link to a Bitcoin address, which is sad in its own way. It got even sadder when he changed it again to redirect to an Imgur meme. The sadness scene peaked. See, this article is written from some guy's or female's own perspective. It's not really a professional article, if you ask me. This is somebody, personal writing, instead of just getting to the point. Let's see. It says you can't have an RFID chip in your palm that links to a 404. So as he went to rewrite the chip, he realized that the sadness had really and truly peaked when, after all that time, he had forgotten the password entirely. It's almost over. Let's see. Some friends told him the only way to crack it would be to strap an RFID reader to his hand for weeks and brute force every possible combination. The chip remains locked, and it seems like it will stay that way forever unless Wayne finds a sticky note with the password written on it somewhere on his desk. But eventually, they'll be able to crack that. He'll be able to use it soon. I mean, he already has it, whether he get it replaced or whatever. He's done for, man. But this is what's to come. This is the future, man. So all the unbelievers, all the people not telling, all the false prophets not telling their congregation what's to come, hey, man, ultimately you're going to be destroyed. But this is just a quick lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Lord willing, it was edifying. I want to constantly give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Shalom.